Imagine a world without chocolate bars. No sweet, melting squares, no rich, dark cakes. This was the world for most of human history. The story of chocolate does not begin with candy. It starts long ago in Mesoamerica. Here, the cacao bean was not a treat, it was a treasure. The Olmec people were likely the first to use it. They discovered the pods growing on the Theobroma cacao tree. This tree's name means food of the gods. For these ancient people, that name was very true. They saw the bean as a gift from their deities. The beans were harvested, they were fermented and then roasted. After that, they were ground into a thick paste. This paste was mixed with water, mixed with chili peppers, and mixed with cornmeal. The mixture was poured back and forth between pots from a height. This created a thick, bitter foam on top. This frothy beverage was called xocolotl, which means bitter water. It was a drink for rituals, for warriors, and for the elite. It was nothing like the sweet hot cocoa we drink on a cold day. When Spanish explorers arrived in the Americas in the early 1500s, they encountered many new and amazing things. One of these was the Aztec Emperor Montezuma II. He was said to drink dozens of cups of xocolotl every day from golden goblets. The Spanish conquistador Hernán Cortés was intrigued by this strange, dark beverage. At first, the Spanish did not like the bitter taste. It was unfamiliar and strong. They described it as a drink for pigs. But they quickly noticed how important it was to the Aztec people and saw its value as a source of energy and a symbol of wealth. Cortés realized the economic potential of the cacao bean. He saw how the Aztecs used it as money, used it as a luxury good. He established cacao plantations in the newly conquered territories, using local labor to grow the beans. He and his men began shipping the beans back to Spain. Alongside gold, silver, other treasures, cacao beans made the long journey across the Atlantic Ocean. When they first arrived in Spain, people were unsure what to do with them. The transformation of chocolate began in the monasteries of Spain. Monks started to play with the recipe. They left out the chili peppers. By adding sugar, cinnamon, vanilla, the monks created a new version of the drink. It was still rich and dark, but now it had a sweetness that made it delicious to the Spanish court. Spanish nobles married into other European royal families and the custom of drinking chocolate spread. It traveled first to France with the marriage of a Spanish princess to King Louis XIII. Quickly it moved into Europe's royal courts. It became the ultimate status symbol. Special chocolate houses like today's coffee shops appeared in major cities. London, Amsterdam, Paris. Exclusive places where wealthy men drank chocolate, did business, and discussed politics. Soaring demand for chocolate and sugar had a terrible human cost. Vast plantations were needed to produce enough cacao and sugarcane. European powers established plantations in colonies: Caribbean, South America, Africa. The work was difficult and dangerous. Colonists turned to the transatlantic slave trade to fill the labor gap. Millions of enslaved Africans were forcibly taken from their homes. They were shipped across the ocean in horrific conditions. Their forced labor built the foundation of the booming chocolate industry. Enslaved lives were filled with cruelty and suffering. They worked long hours in the hot sun, clearing land, planting, harvesting cacao pods, harvesting sugarcane. They faced brutal punishments and lived in constant fear. European merchants and aristocrats made immense profits tied to violent exploitation. The sweet drink in elegant drawing rooms hid the immense suffering of millions. This dark history cannot be ignored. Through the 18th and 19th centuries, chocolate remained a drink for the wealthy. High cost kept it out of reach for ordinary people. The entire industry was built on global trade, colonial power, and profound injustice. The Industrial Revolution brought about the next major change in chocolate's history. New machines and technologies made it possible to process cacao beans on a massive scale. In 1828, Coenraad van Houten invented the cocoa press. The press separated cocoa butter from roasted cacao beans, leaving fine cocoa powder. That powder mixed easily with water, creating a smoother, more consistent drink. The cocoa press paved the way for solid chocolate. In 1847, J.S. Fry & Sons made the first solid chocolate bar. They mixed cocoa powder and sugar with melted cocoa butter, pressed into molds. Chocolate became something to eat, not just drink. In 1875, Daniel Peter added powdered milk, creating milk chocolate. Chocolate grew smoother, sweeter, and more popular. The 20th century saw chocolate become a global phenomenon. Hershey, Cadbury, Nestle bars became everyday treats, a source of comfort and enjoyment for people of all ages and classes. It was given to soldiers in World War II as a high-energy ration and a taste of home. Easter Valentine's Day, from sacred drink to everyday candy. Simple bars, elaborate bonbons. Yet, its complicated past remains. The industry faces major challenges: unfair labor practices, child labor showing a growing desire to enjoy this wonderful food without contributing to exploitation. Chocolate's story is sweetness and bitterness, divine gift and human greed, reminding us that even the simplest treat can have a long and complicated journey.